Welcome back to another in our series of questions that Jesus asked. Our question today comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 27. And what shall I say, Father? Save me from this hour? To give our question its context, we'll read verses 27 through 35 of John chapter 12. Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But for this purpose I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. The crowd that stood there and heard it said that it had thundered. Others said, an angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered, this voice has come for your sake, not mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself. He said this to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So the crowd answered him, we have heard from the law that the Christ remains forever. How can you say that the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? So Jesus said to them, the light is among you for a little while longer. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. The one who walks in the darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light. The musician and songwriter Paul Simon describes the process by which he wrote the song Bridge Over Troubled Waters. He tells Dick Cavett in an interview the difficulties he had when writing it, and that there were several times when he would just be completely stifled and unable to continue with the words and melody. That is, until he heard the words of another singer who declared, I'll be a bridge over deep water if you trust in my name. It was then that he knew he could take those words and make them his own, and the rest, as they say, is history. Like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down. What magnificent words. Troubled waters, troubled waters, troubled waters. What does that mean? It sounds so familiar, not because Paul Simon wrote it and the duo Simon and Garfunkel sang this tremendous song. It is the term the sick man uses when he tells Jesus about his condition. We read in John chapter 5, verses 2 through 7 in the American Standard Version. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a multitude of them that were sick, blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool, and troubled the water. Whatsoever then first, after the troubling of the waters, stepped in, was made whole, with whatsoever disease he was holden. And a certain man was there who had been 38 years in his infirmity. When Jesus saw him lying, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wouldst thou be made whole? The sick man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool, but while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. There it was, troubled waters. John describes what the angel does when it comes down from time to time. The angel troubled the waters. Troubled is the Greek word tarasso. To the inanimate object, like water, it means to agitate, to trouble a thing by the movement of its parts. For the person, it means to cause one inward commotion, to take away his calmness of mind, disturb his equanimity, to stir up, to render anxious or distressed. Yes, the water was troubled, stirred up, and roiled, as it were. But we also find that there were times in Jesus' life when he was troubled himself. Jesus goes to the tomb of his good friend Lazarus, where we read in John chapter 11, verses 32 through 35. Now, when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been there, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Yes, the human side of Jesus wells up within when he sees Mary weeping for her departed brother. This troubled feeling will well up again as the cross draws nearer in our passage today. 5 days before the event predetermined before the foundations of the world were set, the fate of the souls of mankind will hang there on Golgotha. Our scene is brought about by the appearance of a group of Greeks, most likely Gentiles, who have come to worship and wish to see Jesus. Here is the account just before our passage read earlier, in John chapter 12, verses 20 through 26. Now among those who went up to worship at the feast were some Greeks. So these came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, Sir, we wish to see Jesus. And Philip went and told Andrew. Andrew and Philip went and told Jesus. And Jesus answered them, The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Whoever loves his life loses it, and whoever hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. If anyone serves me, he must follow me. And where I am, there will my servant be also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. Now Jesus utters these words for all to hear. Verse 27. Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But for this purpose I have come to this hour. Of this moment, no doubt the writer of Hebrews notes when he says in Hebrews chapter 4, verses 15 through 16, For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Interestingly enough, this help we are assured of is a term used in reference to ships when a rope or cable is frapped around the hull to keep it secure. That help is needed when that ship is in the midst of troubled waters. For so they did to the ship when Paul sailed on his way to Rome in Acts 27:17. After hoisting it up, they used supports to undergird the ship. Then, fearing that they would run aground on the Syrtis, they lowered the gear, and thus they were driven along. Jesus was coming to the very hour of his appointment with destiny, and though troubled, entrusts his soul to the one whose name he would bring glory. Indeed, that is what we find in verse 28. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven, I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. Yes, the Father would glorify his name when the tomb could no longer hold his Son, and he arose. Have you understood the purpose for which Jesus came? Have you entrusted your soul to him? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and look at another of the questions that Jesus asked.